Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, Diamonds and Washi. This is Katie. If you're new here, hi, welcome. And if you're back, welcome back. Today I am here to share with you another video in the series that I'm doing on waxes and alternative waxes that you can use for diamond painting. And today's wax of choice isn't really a wax at all, but has been highly requested. It's the thing I probably get asked the most about when people will comment on my whip and chats when I've mentioned what waxes I use. So I threw away the outer packaging, but this is Quakehold Museum Putty. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I will put in a picture here of what the outer packaging looks like for reference if you're looking for it on Amazon. Of course, I will link it in the description below so you can go and take a look and find it there as well. So Museum Putty is really cost effective and it lasts forever. It's really one of my very favorite things to use in my multi-placers specifically. I use it just about exclusively in my multi-placers unless I'm testing out a different kind of wax. So as always with my videos in this series, I am going to be showing you how to load and use it in both your kind of run-of-the-mill plastic multi-placer as well as in an everlasting tip, which this is I think an everlasting 5. I'm not sure. And then this is a plastic 7 placer. So let's get started with how to load, and we'll start with the plastic one. So it comes in a package like this, and you can see that even in this brick, I've never uncovered that side. I have used very little of it. So for like $3.50 US dollars on Amazon, this is again a super cost-effective option. So if I'm going to go about loading it, so I'm starting with a clean tip. I'm going to pinch off a small piece, and then what I like to do is to roll it between my fingers until I get it kind of like long and skinny. And even that was probably more than I needed to pinch off because this is a smaller placer. You really don't need to pinch off much, especially to start. So I've gotten it a little bit more skinny, and then I'm going to start kind of at one end, and I just use my fingernail to kind of push it down in there because it's tricky to load. I will say that. The good news is once it's loaded, you very rarely have to yank everything out and start over again, and you very rarely have to refill even. So it's not a pretty process. I have shoved as much in there as I realistically can. Then what I like to do is kind of run my finger over the sides to take off the excess. Just shove it back on the brick there. And then I kind of flatten off the top. I just run my finger over it. It's a little bit, it takes a little bit of time to get set up, but this kind of wax that's not a wax is extremely forgiving. So what I'm trying to do is get it as flat and even on top as I can so that I'm going to be dealing with as little excess as possible once I start actually putting this on drills. So you can kind of see how I did that, just kind of pushing along the top. You want to be careful when you do that because if you push too hard or too enthusiastically, it'll kind of pull the putty away from like either end. So anyway, I think that about does it well enough. I feel like you could also run just your fingernail along the top. That might be a little more effective, but yep. So this is loaded and ready to go. It is going to be much the same kind of process with the everlasting stainless steel tips, which if you're not familiar with these are sold by, her name is A Diamond Painting Lady over on Instagram. She has an Etsy shop. I believe she might still be in vacation mode, but I will link her below, and I really enjoy her everlasting tips. Just as a gentle reminder, if you are not familiar with these, whenever you're cleaning waxes or putty out of an everlasting tip, do not use something sharp like tweezers because it can scratch and kind of burr up the ends of your of the stainless steel. One way that the stainless steel tips are different to load than the plastic is that they are much, much, much deeper, I find. Like almost this entire part here is open. So I find I do have to use a little bit more wax. Again, I use my fingernail. If you don't have fingernails or if that kind of is annoying to you, I find that using this end of my tweezers works okay to kind of nudge it in there, and I'm not going to damage the tip. Yeah, that's actually more effective than my fingernail. So I do what I did before, where I pinched off a small piece of the putty, roll it into kind of a long skinny shape, set it in there. Gosh, am I gonna need, I think I'm gonna need just a little bit more. It's been a while since I have reloaded these from scratch, so I couldn't remember just how deep it was. I think, okay, we just need a tiny, tiny bit more. It's almost good. A little bit of this putty goes a very long way. Okay, so it's in there. Okay, the one thing to keep in mind with the everlasting tips is that just in general, I find that the wax in them tends to want to slide around a lot more just because the inside of them is stainless steel as well. So it's just a little slippery. That's a word. Okay, so same idea that we did with the plastic, where I just kind of ran my finger across the top and then pinched off the excess from the ends, and do the same the opposite direction. And we have a nice, neatly loaded everlasting tip. You can use this in your single placer as well. And for many of you, this may be a really economical option. I will show you how to load it here as well. I have old wax in here. I'm going to clean up. This is a non-everlasting tip. For this kind, what I'll do is I'll just roll this until it's skinny enough that I can kind of push it in there a little more easily. It's a little tricky to load. Since it's not an everlasting tip, I use the pointy end of the tweezers to just kind of fill up the gaps inside as much as I can and try to get it in there evenly. Again, regular tip, you're not going to need a lot. I obviously pinched off more than I need. So let's pinch off the excess. And just like with the multi-placer, kind of run your finger over it, flatten it out, and there we go. Loaded and ready to go. So I'm not going to show you how to load it in an everlasting tip. It's much a similar process, except I would suggest using something like a toothpick to push the wax in there because, again, pointy tweezers, you could scratch up your stainless steel everlasting tip if you do that. So I am going to go grab my current project and show you what it's like to put some drills down on a canvas with this putty. I'll be right back. All right, so when we go to put drills on the canvas using this wax alternative, museum putty, it's actually pretty simple. One of my favorite things about it is that it leaves little to no residue at all from the get-go. So as far as actually putting drills down, let's see, this is the one that I loaded the single placer with museum putty. This tray, by the way, this is from Bella Art to Nicole, and my pens are this is from Jim's Handmade Pen Shop, and this is from Lazy River Wood Turning. I will link everything, as always, in the description below. So, single placer, it is very simple. You don't have to push hard at all. You can very lightly touch it, and it places down. and let's go really easily. Again, I don't find there to be a problem with it leaving residue on the drills at all, really. Let me just drop it. The one thing that you could possibly run into is as you are painting over time, you might find that the putty does not want to come in focus, that the putty will shift a little bit in the end, and you might have to kind of work some of that excess off. You can just run your fingernail over it, and that will take care of any extra. As far as the multi-placer goes, which again, this is how I really love to use it, almost exclusively. So in your tray, you don't have to press hard. You just line it up. It picks them up super neatly. And then I wanted to hold on to it a little tightly there. You'll find with your multi-placer over time that, again, you might find that there's a little bit of excess that comes over the sides, and you can just work that off, like as kind of the divots get into it. For reference, this is the pen that I'm currently using and the multi-placer that I've been using for some time. Yes, the putty looks dirty, but it's sticky, and it looks dirty because it's been used for quite some time. Come on. You can see the little divots that are in it, and even just a little bit of excess that is over the sides. That's really not a big deal. I just wipe that off. So yeah, I don't even remember the last time I had to change this out, but it is looking dirty, so I might swap it out just for sake of that. So yes, with the everlasting tips, which by the way, a general suggestion that I have for if you're using everlasting multi-placers is I have better luck with them picking up my drills well and placing well if I try to hold my pen as straight up and down as possible. That seems to work the best, for sure. So let me talk through, while I'm placing some drills and you guys can kind of see, let me talk through some of the things that I like and things that I don't like about Quakehold Museum Putty. I really love that it is so inexpensive. Like I mentioned, that brick that I initially showed you guys is $3.50, $4 maybe, US dollars. And it lasts forever. I feel like I haven't even put a dent in it. So I think the price point is fantastic. I love that it lasts for such a long time without me having to fuss with it. I've had a really difficult time finding other waxes or alternative waxes that work in my multi-placer. So this is my go-to. I find that it just works really well. It hits all of those high points for me. I also like that it's available on Amazon Prime. Like, I can get it quickly, easily, inexpensively, and it shows up, and then I have it and I can use it. I'm going to switch over to my plastic multi-placer now. There's really not going to be a difference as far as how I pick my drills up. I tend to pick it up from one end. If you're more of like, if you hold your pen at a little more of an angle, which I tend to do when I'm multi-placing so I can see the drills, the museum putty and the plastic multi-placers absolutely lend itself to that style of placing or multi-placing. I like that this is unscented. For those of you that have sensitivities to different scents and whatnot, this could be a really fantastic option for you. Things that I'm not as crazy about with the museum putty, I don't love that it's so fussy to load. It's nice that I don't have to reload it often, but it is, as you saw, it's a little bit of a pain to load. Also, I don't know about you, I really enjoy getting to support small businesses. especially in the diamond painting community. So it's a little bit of a bummer that I don't get to support small businesses when I'm using this. And as well, I am personally not crazy about using museum putty in my single placer tip. It doesn't really work for me. It's a lot fussier, so it's not my go-to for my single placer. Overall though, I highly, highly recommend this product as a wax option for you, especially if you are like me and had quite a lot of trouble finding a wax or wax alternative that worked for your multi-placer. Again, this is my go-to. I use it all the time. I'll link it in the description so you can go check it out for yourself. I'll also add on just a little disclaimer here, like I always do with my wax videos and other tips and suggestion type videos. For every kind of wax or pen or whatever there is, there's different things are going to fit different people. We all are different kinds of diamond painters. How I hold my pen is different from how the next person holds their pen. The exact way that I pick up drills is different from how the next person picks up their drills, so on and so forth. And especially one thing that I find makes the most difference with whether or not a wax is going to work for you is if you are a heavy-handed placer or a lighter-handed placer. Museum putty, I think, lends itself to both, quite honestly. If you pressed really hard, then you might run into issues with your drills wanting to stick in the putty. But I have had my time as a heavy-handed placer and time as a light-handed placer, and I've generally found that this has worked for me both times. So if you decide to give this a try and it's just not working for you, give it maybe a little bit of time just to see if it's a practice thing, and maybe you'll get the hang of it with a little bit of time and practice. And also, it's possible that it just won't work for you. There are a lot of waxes that other people swear by that just do not work for me whatsoever, and there are waxes that I swear by that others don't like to use at all. So don't be discouraged. I will continue to share videos about various waxes with you guys and hopefully share some helpful tips and tricks and overall thoughts on pros and cons. Of course, if you have any questions whatsoever or any thoughts on this particular wax, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I will answer all the questions that I see, and I'd love to hear if any of you have had experiences with museum putty and any thoughts that you might have to share or tips or what have you. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it to be helpful, I would love it if you could leave a thumbs up before you click away. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, I'd love for you to subscribe and hang out here. I try to share new videos and new content fairly regularly, though it's not quite on a schedule right now since I do have two little ones running around. But for all of you that are here and part of this community, thank you. I appreciate you. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.